Tonight, a daring mission deep inside Iran as U.S. Special Forces rescue a downed Air Force officer. Details of the risky operation as Donald Trump ramps up his threats with a profane post and sets a new ultimatum to reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
Let me tell you what won't reopen the Strait of Hormuz: threatening war crimes of bombing indiscriminately power plants, cursing at Iran.
Plus, Artemis II gears up for its lunar flyby.
It is truly awe-inspiring up here.
What's next for the crew and its mission around the moon? And advanced polls open in 3 key by-elections.
They could make the difference between a majority government for Mark Carney and the Liberals and maybe something that would stop the momentum of the Liberals.
What it could mean to Mark Carney's bid for a majority government.
From CBC News, this is The National with Asha Tomlinson.
Thanks for joining us. Ian is away. Donald Trump is increasing the pressure on Iran tonight with more threats to strike its infrastructure and a new deadline to get oil moving through the Strait of Hormuz. In an angry social media post, the U.S. president used profanity as he lashed out, saying power plants and bridges will be targeted and Iran will, quote, be living in hell unless the vital shipping route reopens. All the while, Trump is celebrating the rescue of a U.S. airman from inside Iran after a fighter jet was shot down on Friday. Katie Nicholson begins our coverage tonight with that high-stakes mission.
Iranian state TV next to the charred remains of what's believed to be 2 U.S. military planes that had to be abandoned and blown up. The price of an otherwise successful mission to rescue an airman deep behind enemy lines. The F-15 jet with its crew of 2 was shot down Friday. The pilot rescued within hours. The weapons officer harder to find. As the Iranians offered a bounty for his capture, somehow he hiked into the mountains and hid in a crevice. The CIA reportedly located him and launched a misdirection campaign to confuse Iranians also on the hunt, while the U.S. military moved in and retrieved him. An amazing show of bravery and talent by all, posted the U.S. president, though his celebratory mood was short-lived. A few hours later, there was this foul-mouthed Easter morning threat against Iran's power plants and bridges. Open the effing strait, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah.
This is all embarrassing and juvenile.
It earned withering scorn from Democrats.
Let me tell you what won't reopen the Strait of Hormuz: threatening war crimes of bombing indiscriminately power plants, cursing at Iran. What we need is statesmanship.
Intentionally targeting civilian infrastructure could be considered a war crime. Already more than 100 international law experts have expressed grave concerns about humanitarian violations as the war escalates.
These threats,
the Iranians also pushing back on Trump's threat.
It would mean that you want to put at risk the whole population. And this is nothing less than war crimes and crimes against humanity.
Even in the streets of Tehran, anger. Iran has to retaliate, she says. This infrastructure belongs to the people of Iran. Trump has been threatening to hit key infrastructure for weeks now, with several sliding deadlines. His latest ultimatum expires on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Iran's Revolutionary Guard making its own threats, saying again the Strait of Hormuz will never return to its former state, and hinting at a soon-to-be-announced new order in the Persian Gulf. The president has been burning up the phone lines today, talking to reporters at multiple outlets, doubling down on his threat, even telling an ABC reporter if a deal isn't negotiated, we're blowing up the whole country. And we expect to hear more from the president again Monday at a briefing at 1 p.m.
And Katie, what does this mean for rising oil prices, now hovering around $110 a barrel?
Right, so OPEC, the organization of petroleum exporting countries, met Sunday and they agreed to increase their oil output quotas by 206,000 barrels a day in May. So to give you some context, That is less than 2% of the supply that normally flows through the Strait of Hormuz. So we aren't talking about a lot of oil here. The other thing is it's a pretty meaningless benchmark until the strait reopens. Even then, there's been some damage to some infrastructure that will also need to be repaired, and that could take some time as well before they can increase production.
Katie Nicholson reporting in Washington. Thanks. Sasha Petrusik joins me now from Jerusalem. Sasha, how is Iran likely to respond to Trump's latest threats and the deadline?
Well, Asha, we've had one hint from an Iranian general who said that the gates of hell will open up. Based on what we've seen Iran doing, there will likely be tit-for-tat retaliation against civilian infrastructure. Now, the U.S. and Israel, they've already been hitting bridges and gas fields and other facilities in Iran. That is supposed to increase now based on what Trump has been saying. Iran has been responding against oil refineries, U.S. bases, and over the weekend, water desalination plants in Kuwait, which is civilian infrastructure, of course. So that is also likely to increase, and we're likely to get some sort of a snowball effect of all of this stuff. You know, Iran's threats sometimes sound a bit like bravado, like chest thumping, but in fact, there is history to all of this. They have had sacrifice and playing the underdog. In the 1980s, there was the Iran-Iraq War, which lasted almost 8 years and ended in a draw. Asha?
How long could Iran keep fighting back then?
Well, it could be longer than expected based on the fact that they aren't as obliterated as Donald Trump has suggested. After all, they just took down 2 U.S. aircraft. We've seen that in Israel. Those attacks with missiles have been increasing steadily. Over the weekend, we saw damage and injuries all over Israel, north, south, and around Tel Aviv as well. And, you know, U.S. intelligence has also been saying that even though the U.S. and Israel have destroyed about 11,000 missiles in the arsenal in Iran, they've probably got just as many left, and they're repairing things like launchers much faster than expected, sometimes within a matter of hours. Asha?
That is Sasha Petrusik in Jerusalem. Thank you. As the war drives up fuel prices, Canadian air travel is being impacted. WestJet says it's adding a temporary fuel surcharge on some tickets. Beginning Wednesday, the airline will charge an additional $60 for bookings made with a companion voucher. Those are reduced fare tickets held by many credit card and reward members. As fuel costs rise, the airline also says it's consolidating some routes and reducing capacity. Migrants rescued off the coast of Italy have told officials 71 of their fellow passengers were lost at sea. You can see their troubled vessel bobbing in the water as 2 merchant ships move in to collect survivors. 32 of them were taken to the island of Lampedusa. Their voyage started in Libya. It is day 5 of the Artemis II mission, which means the journey around the moon is now halfway complete and marking an important milestone. Caroline Bargout shows us what that looks like from space and from here on Earth.
On this Easter Sunday, in deep space, the Artemis II astronauts are reflecting.
For me, the teachings of Jesus were always a very simple truth of love, universal love. For us, being up here and looking back at all of you through one tiny window, that just resonates 100% true.
The day started with the song by pop star CeeLo Green and a message from Charlie Duke, an Apollo 16 astronaut who landed on the moon in 1972.
Below you on the moon is a photo of my family. I pray it reminds you that we in America and all of the world are cheering you on.
Artemis II is entering the moon's gravitational sphere of influence, meaning the moon's gravity will have a stronger pull on it than Earth's. All this as it prepares for its most ambitious feat yet, to travel around the far side of the moon on Monday, during which the astronauts will lose all communication for about 40 minutes.
To see the moon, to see the Earth, and to know that we are between those 2 celestial bodies, and you can see it when you look out the window, it is truly awe-inspiring up here.
And this has been rehydrated.
The crew showed off their food rations and demoed their survival suits. Everything live streamed for the world to see. Kids, young and old, are watching with amazement.
I think it's really cool that we're going to see the moon again.
I thought it was pretty cool because I've never seen anything like it.
And then it's about research, right? So we never know what we find on there. Could be nothing, could be everything.
This is very much a test flight. These astronauts will put their spacesuits and their equipment through their paces. But scientists will also be watching and assessing how they manage living in such tight quarters for 10 days. That's because if a crew is eventually sent to Mars, the flight to get there will take about 9 months. For this space expert, that's what makes this mission even more exciting.
The Artemis mission is not just about the moon. It's about eventually landing on Mars. And in that story, the moon plays a big part. And that's where we're at in history right now.
As these 4 astronauts inch further away from home, they are one step closer to traveling farther from Earth than any human has before. Caroline Bargu, CBC News, Vancouver.
Advanced polls are open this holiday weekend for by-elections in 3 federal ridings, 2 in Ontario and 1 in Quebec. Voter turnout was notably high, especially in the riding of Terrebonne. Jamie Strachan now on what the results could mean for the Liberals' bid for a majority in Parliament.
In the Montreal suburb of Terrebonne, voters in this by-election lined up this holiday weekend to cast their ballots. 1 hour isn't the end of the world, but people complain, says this voter. But I'm happy to have done my civic duty, and it's important. The saying, every vote counts, is especially true here, where the Liberals defeated the Bloc Québécois by a single vote last year, only to have the Supreme Court order a new election after it was discovered Elections Canada put an incorrect return address on some mail-in ballots, which were never counted. It really was an error. We want it to be corrected, says this Terrebonne resident. Both Prime Minister Mark Carney and Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet have campaigned in the riding. For Carney, it's the first check-in with voters since the election. For the Bloc, a chance to retake a riding they've controlled since the early 90s.
The polls are still suggesting that the Liberals are doing very well in Quebec, that the Bloc Québécois is holding its vote. So that suggests it could end up being just as close as last time.
There are 2 other by-elections, both in Ontario, one in Scarborough Southwest, the other in University Rosedale, 2 Toronto ridings considered Liberal strongholds.
The importance of by-elections is often overblown. We give too much importance.
However, this time, these 3 races could tip the balance in the House of Commons.
They could make the difference between a majority government for Mark Carney and the Liberals and maybe something that would stop the momentum of the Liberals.
The by-elections are set for April 13th. Winning 2 of 3 would give the Carney government a razor-thin majority, but they would still need the Speaker of the House as a tie-breaking vote. A clean sweep would give them more breathing room to pass budgets and legislation without relying on other parties. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
The war in the Middle East is now hitting Canadian science labs. With helium exports from Qatar cut off by the conflict, a shortage is now threatening critical research at Canadian universities. As Peter Cowan reports, it's putting million-dollar lab equipment and cancer drug research at risk.
Every 5 weeks, these nuclear magnetic resonance scanners need to be refilled with helium. It's essential for important research at McMaster University. But thanks to a global shortage, their supply is cut in half.
We are now on allocation of 50%, meaning if I need 250 liters of helium, they will only deliver 125 liters. And there's a significant price increase as well.
The war in the Middle East has shut down helium production in Qatar, which produces 1/3 of the world's inventory. Helium isn't just for party balloons. It's important to several industries.
Well, the largest applications for helium are semiconductor chip manufacturing and MRI scanners.
MRI scanners need helium to keep magnets cool, but they can go a long time between refills. The NMR scanners at universities across the country cannot. If the helium level gets too low, it could permanently damage them. That would halt the search for new cancer drugs or finding safer battery chemistry and could cost millions to fix.
There is no substitute that we can use in these instruments to keep them magnetic. So without a continuous supply of helium, we can't do the research or maintain the instruments that we need here.
In Toronto, a weekly shipment has arrived safe to the Princess Margaret Cancer Research Centre. But the worry here is how long that will continue.
If it gets worse, then we will all be in trouble.
Canada produces helium, but it has to be sent to the U.S. to be liquefied. Now there are calls to build that infrastructure on this side of the border.
We would not be depending on other countries. We would be self-sufficient. We would be completely independent.
Producers say the volume of Canadian helium hasn't justified the investment.
We have helium flowing down this 2-inch copper line.
For now, some facilities are building helium collection systems. By recycling 80% of the helium that escapes, they hope to keep their machines running even through a global crisis. Peter Cowan, CBC News, St. John's.
Animal rescue groups are urging the Canadian government to reverse a ban that blocks them from importing dogs from more than 100 countries. As Marina von Stackelberg explains, organizations say the restriction is too heavy-handed, but some vets argue it's needed to prevent the spread of rabies.
Wow, Mimi!
This senior disabled dog is living her best life after being rescued from the streets of Thailand.
This is Amira from Soy Dog Foundation, and you can see she only has 2 legs.
Yay! Amira wouldn't be adoptable in Canada now. 3.5 years ago, the federal government completely banned the commercial import of dogs from more than 100 countries. It was meant to be temporary, aimed at preventing the spread of rabies.
It's been such a different environment for you, huh, buddy?
It effectively shut down the work of international animal rescues here.
Before the ban came into effect, Canada was known as a beacon of hope for dogs coming from war-torn countries, dogs in countries where the dog meat trade flourished, dogs in countries without much animal welfare infrastructure. Canadians were seen as compassionate folks who wanted to open their homes to rescue dogs.
Animal rights groups and rescues have fought the ban. They say it's the most restrictive in the world. Other places like the U.S. are using different methods to allow dogs to enter safely, like requiring proof of vaccination, blood tests to check for rabies antibodies, and quarantines.
Such a good boy.
But this veterinarian agrees with the Canadian government. She says those screening measures aren't an absolute guarantee, and the risk to public health is serious. Dog rabies kills nearly 60,000 people globally each year.
These are countries where rabies, canine rabies is endemic, and so we can't be allowing those pets to come into Canada to put our people at risk. Right. And it's pretty straightforward. You just say no.
The federal government says it will keep looking at options to once again allow the import of rescue dogs into Canada. But for now, the temporary ban remains in place. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
Good news for residents in parts of Southern California tonight. Evacuation orders and warnings have been lifted after Cal Fire crews almost completely contained a wildfire about 100 kilometers east of LA. The fire started Friday morning and grew quickly. There was a second, smaller fire in LA County, but it was mostly contained by Friday afternoon. A wave of 2000s Disney nostalgia is taking over, and it's bringing back its biggest stars.
I love being Hannah, I love being Miley Cyrus. You really taught me how to be who I am.
Why Disney is betting on millennial memories to power its next hit. In Venice, a rare rowing tradition lives on, passed down by a small group of women.
People here are not very happy to teach other people how to row because it's something like a secret.
Why they're now teaching visitors their regional techniques. And big tech was built to innovate. So what's slowing it down?
We created an enshitogenic policy environment where the worst people with their worst ideas make the most money.
Ian sits down with author Cory Doctorow. We're back in 2.
Congratulations to Tabor, Alberta.
You see the excitement in Tabor, Alberta, after the town was named the winner of the Craft Hockeyville contest last night. Tabor will get $250,000 for repairs to its rink, which was severely damaged in an explosion last year. As the runner-up, Tumbler Ridge in BC will get $100,000 for arena upgrades. The winner was chosen in a countrywide vote between the 2 finalists. The Disney Channel is bringing back some famous faces from more than a decade ago. Miley Cyrus and the Jonas Brothers are set for reunion specials. Griffin Yeager now with why the company is trying to capitalize on its tween nostalgia.
I'm Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, Ravens, Hillary Duff, and you're watching Disney Channel.
For tweens in the 2000s, this wasn't just TV, but a whole industry geared towards them. Disney Channel, a star-making machine for fans in their pre and early teens.
It becomes something that's unescapable. Someone who was just a lowly actor on a kids' cable show is now the biggest star in America.
Today, Disney is trying to tap into that fan base again, now in their 20s and 30s. We're back. In 2026, old faces back in familiar roles. The Jonas Brothers returning to Camp Rock, and Miley Cyrus back in her Hannah Montana wig.
We actually grew up together.
Its teaser for the 20th anniversary racked up over 1 million views in a day on socials.
There's a buzz.
In a press release, Disney calls the special a love letter to fans, as passionate today as they were 20 years ago.
It's this global audience that is longing for something like this nostalgia of something they grew up with. Good to be home.
In 2014, Disney Channel had about 2 million cable viewers. In 2025, only about 100K. Experts point to streaming and social media for the drop.
In the 90s and 2000s, were kids and tweens basically having 2 to 3 options for content: Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, Cartoon Network in the US. As social media takes off, a kid can go on their phone and just swipe through an endless stream of content.
Having this tween-specific content is important, says this creator.
I felt like as a child, I had really something of my own that my parents weren't privy to. For tweens, they really don't have an ecosystem.
So now, instead of chasing a new generation, Disney is bringing back what once worked.
They've realized we know these are hits and they already have the name recognition. That's a lot easier for marketing, for your budget, for everything.
Trying to remake the magic of the past. Griffin Yeager, CBC News, Toronto.
In Venice, there's a new push to preserve a tradition few are taught.
First thing to do is to twist your wrist.
We introduce you to the small group of women trying to keep gondola rowing alive. Toronto researchers trace an ancient parchment to France's notorious Spider King.
It's really the beginning of the French civil code as we know it.
We'll show you how they did it. And how a KitKat heist is causing a stir at a Canadian retirement home. Today, Pope Leo gave his first Easter message since being elected last May. He asked those who have weapons to lay them down and those who have the power to unleash war to instead choose peace. He didn't mention any specific conflicts, but the first American-born Pope has been an outspoken critic of the war in Iran.
As a Catholic, very special to see the Pope. And I think his message was very appropriate for these times of instability and war, and so we're all very happy to hear his message for Easter.
The Pope offered brief Easter greetings in 10 languages, including Arabic and Chinese. He announced he'll return to the Basilica next Saturday to host a prayer vigil for peace. Elsewhere in Italy, women are passing down a cultural heritage to their daughters. Venice is famous for the gondolas that glide along its canals, but there's another kind of boat that gets less attention. Megan Williams tried her hand at learning to row one.
Venice, Italy, famed for its centuries-old gondolas and the thousands of tourists who ride them every year. But far from the crowds is another historic way of moving along the city's canals, a tradition kept alive and passed on by these female rowers.
First thing to do is to twist your wrist.
Who teach others how to vogare, to row Venetian style. Harder than it seems. It's a technique few here are willing to share.
People here are not very happy to teach other people how to row because it's something like a secret, you know. The older champions, they say, you have to still with your eyes, like you have to look at me and try to understand why I'm so good.
Elena Almanzi and her friend Viola began rowing as kids, following in the wake of their mothers who still row today. That's Viola's mum, when not at work, still training. The daughters and mums race together in Venice's famed regattas. And with 20 or so other female rowers, fund those competitions by teaching visitors.
It's hard, especially at the beginning. Then you get a little bit used to it. You take to get the technique, but these girls are just amazing.
Chi la vive che la rende unica.
It's the people who move through these canals, who live in the water, who make Venice unique, she says. If that knowledge and technique are lost, she says the city risks becoming nothing more than an amusement park. Megan Williams, CBC News, Venice.
Now let's break down the stories shaping our world, including an incredible discovery by Toronto researchers looking into an ancient piece of parchment. Unlocking the message of a centuries-old letter hidden in the spine of a book at a Toronto University library.
I looked at it and immediately saw this is, late 15th century.
A look at its ties to an influential French monarch and how it may have shaped Canadian laws. But first,
we can chart a new course.
Canadian author Cory Doctorow takes a critical view of big tech in his latest book and what he sees as the declining value of many apps.
Enshittification. Why that? Well, it turns out that if you give people a minor license to vulgarity, they'll listen to your detailed technical critique.
Ian sat down with him in Vancouver to talk about the book's colorful title, his theory on why the web's getting worse, and why it's happening now.
If you don't want to be spied on by Facebook, you can't make a privacy blocker. If you want to put the news back in your Facebook feed, you can't make a news feed for Facebook. All we can do is ask these tech companies to help us out. And when we do that, they just say no.
Cory Doctorow says the internet is getting worse, and he has a theory why. It's explained in his latest book, which has a provocative title.
Enshittification. Why that? Well, it turns out that if you give people a minor license to vulgarity, they'll listen to your detailed technical critique.
A gimmick? For sure. And it's working.
This dirty word I came up with to describe how platforms go bad.
His message and his mission are getting attention.
There's a lot of reasons to be angry right now, and a lot of them have to do with the conduct that gave rise to tech monopolies and other kinds of monopolies.
Okay. Doctorow is a Canadian science fiction author, essayist.
Every single urban legend.
And he's been an internet expert since even before many of us knew the internet existed. Here he is on CBC in 1995.
Show us how to surf the net.
Okay, well, when you're talking about playing around on the internet, you're talking about one of two things.
His latest book raises significant questions about the power of big tech and who controls intellectual property. I spoke about this and more with Doctorow in the CBC Vancouver newsroom.
So I'm going to take a big thesis in your book and narrow it down to just a few seconds. But basically, your view is we are badly served by big tech companies right now. But there was a time in stage one where they actually were interested in serving their customers, us. And then they were more interested in serving their sponsors and other companies, and then ultimately serving themselves. And now we're the victims of that. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment there. And really, I know that when people hear this kind of three-stage process, it chimes for them and it helps them think about, oh, that's kind of what happened to Uber, and it's kind of what happened to Amazon, it's kind of what happened to Google, and it's very useful. But I feel like it doesn't have as much explanatory power as the rest of the book, which is about why it's happening now, because we didn't invent greed in the middle of the last decade. So my thesis is that we changed the policy environment. We created an enshittigenic policy environment where the worst people with their worst ideas make the most money, and then what followed was pretty predictable.
For Doctorow, this policy environment has led to apps with intrusive tracking features, Google's search results increasingly skewed by ads, and social media feeds that are no longer curated by friends but by algorithmic-driven clickbait.
There is a relentlessness about this book as you go through example after example after example. And I have to say, the contrarian in me as I looked at it thought, is this overstating it at all? So just let me give you a personal example. One tiny little thing, Instagram. Yeah. I'm on Instagram. I see interesting videos that I feel kind of serve me well. I have a small following on Instagram, and only the people who follow me can comment, so I get shielded from the dumbest comments on the internet. Isn't Instagram working for me?
Well, let me give you an example of how much better Instagram could be. So in 2022, a couple of teenagers made their own Instagram client. So you gave it your Instagram login and password, it logged in as you, and it grabbed everything waiting for you. All the posts, but all of the ads and all the suggestions and all the boosted stuff and a bunch of stuff that maybe you don't want to see or you certainly never asked to see. And then it was called OG app because it was like the OG Instagram. Yeah. It threw all that stuff away. And all it showed you was the stuff from the people you followed in reverse chronological order. And it was so successful that within a day, it was in the top 10 on both app stores. So people clearly liked it. And that night, Facebook Meta sent a takedown to Google and Apple, and it turns out there's honor among thieves. They both removed it from the App Store, and that was the end of it. And here's the irony. When Facebook was getting started, everybody who could have been on Facebook was already on MySpace, and all their friends were there, and it's impossible to drag your friends with you to a new platform. We're all experiencing this now. Mark Zuckerberg knew it, so he gave them an alternative client. It was a little bot, and you gave it your login and password for MySpace, and it would scrape everything in MySpace and put it in your Facebook wall, and you could reply to it and push it back out again. When someone did that to Mark Zuckerberg, he nuked them until they glowed. So when he did it, that was progress. When we do it to him, it's piracy. The fact that it's working for you is great, but what we saw is that as soon as you give people a choice, they would choose a better Instagram. And they know it, and instead of delivering it, they're crushing anyone who tries to deliver it.
For Doctorow, this isn't just about delivering a better internet experience. He says there's an opportunity for Canada to gain leverage on the world stage by adjusting our copyright laws. Currently, it's a crime to change software on many products we own. And this has ramifications beyond smartphones and laptops. Doctorow uses the example of a John Deere tractor. Its computer system, he says, makes it virtually unrepairable unless you pay a fee to John Deere to unlock the company's software. Doctorow says changing copyright law in Canada wouldn't only allow people to create cheaper fixes for, in this example, tractors, but he argues it could give Canadians software to sell to Americans, a subversive way, perhaps, to fight back during the trade war.
Well, look, you know, our current strategy is retaliatory tariffs, which is making everything we buy from America more expensive, which is a very strange way to punish America. It's like punching yourself in the face as hard as you can and hoping the downstairs neighbor says, ouch, right? So think about in Ontario where they've decided no more delicious American bourbon, only Canadian rye. So there's some corn farmer in a state that begins and ends with a vowel who never did anything bad to Canada, who may not make payments on his John Deere tractor this month because we're not drinking the bourbon that comes from his corn. Whacking that guy, it's pretty indiscriminate. Meanwhile, there's like 15 companies, big tech companies, that are really responsible for Trump's rise and who are backing him and who are benefiting from his administration. If we were to legalize reverse engineering and making complementary products that improved it, well, among other things, we could sell that farmer the tools that he needs so that when he fixes his tractor, it's just fixed, as opposed to now where you fix your tractor, and then you wait 3 to 5 days while John Deere sends a technician to your farm and types an unlock code and charges you $200. Our farmers could use that too. We could become his supplier and his customer, and when Trump gets angry at us and tries to retaliate, that guy would have our back because we're the ones who sold him the tools that he needs to fix his tractor, and we're the ones buying his corn.
Let's talk about AI for a moment. I know a lot of people who are enthusiastically embracing it, but Geoffrey Hinton, the Nobel Prize laureate, has described it as a potential existential threat to humanity. What's your view?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not worried that if we keep teaching the word guessing program more words, it'll become sentient and turn us into paper clips. I think that's like worrying that if you keep breeding horses to run faster and faster, one of them will give birth to a locomotive. I don't think we're just word guessing programs that know more words. I am worried, however, that 7 companies that make up 30% of the American stock market are just trading the same $100 billion IOU back and forth as quickly as they can and pretending it's in all of their bank balances at once, that they spent $700 billion on data centers and training, and they're only making $50 billion a year, and that as the finance law, Stein's law has it, anything that can't go on forever eventually stops, and we are headed for a crash that's going to make 2008 look like the best day of your life. That's what I'm actually worried about.
Let's finish with this. For the people who are watching who enthusiastically or maybe reluctantly are on Facebook, are on Blue Sky, are on Instagram, Canadians, what's your message to them?
My message is it's not your fault. It's not like where you shop is what changes society. There's a reason billionaires would really like you to vote with your wallet. It's because there's only like 12 of them. So if we were voting with ballots, they would always lose, but their wallets are thicker than all of our wallets put together, so they always win that. Fetishizing your personal consumption choices, it's like trying to recycle your way out of the climate emergency. You're not going to shop your way out of a monopoly. This is not because you shopped wrong and you chose free products over products that cost money. You know, if you buy an iPhone, they're also spying on you for Apple in order to target ads to you. It's not like that distraction rectangle was free. You paid $1,000 for it. It's because our policymakers who work for us, right? Not because American tech giants who are working for their shareholders. Our policymakers who work for us took decisions in living memory that had the foreseeable and foreseen outcome of creating this environment where they make more money, these companies, if they treat us worse. And we don't have to be prisoners of those bad decisions. We can chart a new course.
Experts say Doctorow's idea to use copyright legislation to fight back in the trade war is a good one, in theory, but changing the law might not be so easy in practice. Coming up, how a Toronto university used new tools and expertise to decipher a 15th century letter.
If I shine the light,
oh,
you get a better sense that the writing could be revealed.
Uncovering the message and its language, next. A rare 15th century letter linked to a French king reveals new insight into a piece of history.
It's really the beginning of the French Civil Code as we know it.
Uncovering the legal instrument and its influence on modern Canadian law. David Commons speaks with the researcher who found the faded manuscript and traced its origins back to the reign of a French monarch known as the Spider King.
How much do you trust me? If I do this with my hands,
yes,
can I pick up the 600-year-old paper? That is remarkable.
For years, this 15th century parchment was a mystery.
It strikes me how much weight there is to this, frankly.
The writing had faded with time, its origin and the message it contained unknown.
Almost invisible.
Essentially, yeah.
And you brought it back to life.
Yes.
Rare book specialist Shauna Algarvio works with ancient manuscripts full-time, one of the librarians in the University of Toronto's Massey College. She knew of new technology and wondered if it might reveal what had been lost to time.
Even with a magnifying glass, it would be exceedingly difficult to make out.
But add some UV light.
If I shine the light,
oh,
you get a better sense that the writing could be revealed.
Yeah.
With more advanced technology.
Oh yeah, you absolutely see it.
Algarvio knew right away. This parchment would be a candidate for MISHA, the university's cutting-edge multispectral imaging system for historical artifacts, a specialized process to recover faded text. It worked, but then came another problem. Algarvio had no idea what language this was or what it said, so she put it up online to fellow academics.
I looked at it and I immediately saw this is, late 15th century. It's either English or French, probably a French hand, so I'm intrigued. So this is a version of this document printed on acetate paper just to demonstrate.
Turns out it's Professor Sebastian Sebecki's expertise. By analyzing the manner of the writing, even as he showed us the way the parchment was folded,
imagine a seal was dangling,
revealed what it was and where it had come from.
It's definitely a late 15th century French clerk, and then I could place that it's a government clerk. They used a particular form of handwriting that was typical to royal institutions.
And what did you narrow it down to be?
So this is a letter patent, a royal instrument. They confirm a right or a privilege. They settle disputes. So these letters became important legal instruments in the 15th century to extend the reach of the royal government and central law in France.
Sebecki traced it to the government of French King Louis XI, known as the Spider King, for his tentacles of power, using these types of royal letters to distribute and assert his influence across what was then a fractured France.
It's really the beginning of the French civil code as we know it, the so-called Napoleonic Code, which later influenced the laws of Quebec and therefore forms part of the DNA of Canadian law. So that there's a direct line from Louis XI in the 1470s and this document being one of the tools to modern Canadian law.
In a museum setting, it is traditional to wear gloves, but rare book librarians nowadays have come to the conclusion that it's a lot easier to rip or damage leaves or pages by wearing gloves because your reflexes are not the same.
And are we worried about the oil that are in our hands, or?
We're only concerned more so about the oils if it is coming into contact with the ink.
This parchment is actually scrap, recovered from the binding of a book,
So here we have
recycled at some point in the past.
It is amazing to me that the secret story here is hidden in the spine of a book as opposed to the book itself.
You can actually see, if you look at the spine itself, you can see where it would have originally laid these fragment bits.
With all of these ancient manuscripts coming back to life, are you personally ready for all the Indiana Jones comparisons?
Yes, I'm more of a mummy person, so Brendan Fraser is what I go to, but yes, I am excited to see what the future holds.
In short, Algarvio's future will be spent unlocking the secrets of the past.
Growing friction over the Iran war appears to be straining the NATO alliance, but a warming Arctic also demanding that allies forge closer ties to defend the high north. Here's a preview of what Murray Brewster is working on.
Welcome to NATO's new cold front. Some of the most beautiful yet unforgiving landscape on the face of the earth. A place allies are being called upon to defend with renewed vigor and a sense of urgency.
So the Russians, they're more capable, they're more organized than some of the traditional adversaries that we've faced over the last few years.
A new mission driven by security, but also politics and annexation threats.
You don't take Greenland, Russia or China will, and I'm not letting that happen.
To keep Trump's hands off Greenland and the U.S. in NATO, the alliance put together an initiative known as Arctic Sentry. Whether it's making a difference or sways his opinion about NATO is unclear.
I'll say it publicly, we're very disappointed with NATO because NATO has done absolutely nothing.
The initiative asks allies to train and be ready to fight in the harshest of conditions. Can they do it? And what are some of the challenges they face?
Coming up next, what if Europe's infamous KitKat thieves somehow ended up in Canada?
It started with me running to the store at 8 in the morning to buy as many KitKats that I could.
We will show you the retirement home that's causing a stir, one chocolate bar at a time. Next in our moment. You're looking at Joe, an Ontario senior who played a key role in his retirement home's own KitKat heist, mimicking the one that made headlines around the world last week. After several takes and lots of laughs and even more chocolate, they put together a video that's sure to make you smile. So tonight, their creative spin on the story is our moment.
Thieves stealing 12 tons of KitKat bars. A truck loaded with more than 400,000 KitKats was swiped while traveling from a factory in Italy.
I wondered, why would thieves steal a whole truckload of KitKat?
So we all kind of came up with the idea of what we wanted the video to look like. It started with me running to the store at 8 in the morning to buy as many KitKats that I could. Skit by skit, I kind of went around to the residence.
I was at the return basket looking to see if there were any books to be shelved, and she said, let's put some in there and just bring them out with a surprised look on your face.
Our other resident went by me on the scooter, so I was like, Jim, can I fill up your little scooter basket with KitKats? And he just howled with laughter. I gotta say, Joe on the elevator, he is so hilarious.
It was such good satire, added some spice to my life.
In total, they actually bought 43 KitKat bars, and the video they produced, clearly priceless. It is definitely something to check out if you haven't seen already. But look, apparently when Judy heard she was going to be on The National, she saved a KitKat for Adrian. So this is my official plea, Judy. Save one for me, too. I'm here tomorrow for what it's worth. From all of us here at The National, thank you for being with us. I'm Asha Tomlinson. Good night.